afternoon, everyone. I would like to start my presentation with the quote by Jack Canfield. He writes, you have the power to create anything you want, literally. You can have every success and happiness in your lives. All you need to do to get the key, to unlock the lock. And the key is our education, training, practice, discipline, sacrifice, and intellectual. Let's start with the first slide. My talk will be on the basics of biomechanics of neuromusculoskeletal system. There'll be definition, and we're going to talk about the nervous system, muscular system, skeletal system. At the end, we'll talk about the anatomy of the knee joint. The biomechanics is the study of structure and function of the biological system. Bios means living, mechanics, forces, and effects. This includes studies of the tissues, including bone, cartilage, ligament, tendon, muscle, and nerve, at multiple scales ranging from the single cell to the whole body. Divisions of the biomechanics, like mechanics, divide to four major areas. Statics, dynamics is further divided into kinematics and kinetics, like linear, angular. Deformable solids, again, divided into stress and strain, and the fluids. Like other classification, what we do is like biology and the physics. In the biology, there will be some nervous system, muscular system, and skeletal system. Physics, kinetics, and kinematics. The study of mechanics in the human body divided into two areas. Kinematics, study of variables that describe or quantify motion, that is displacement, velocity, and acceleration. The second is the kinetics. Study of the variables that cause and influence motion, that is forces, torques, and mass. Biomechanists use the principles of mechanics in the analysis of human movement to answer questions such as, how can human performance be enhanced? How can injuries be prevented? How can rehabilitation from injury be expedited? By having an understanding of the principles of analysis in biomechanics and the biomechanical properties of the primary tissues of the musculoskeletal system, we will be able to understand the mechanics of normal movement at each region and to appreciate the effects of impairments on the pathomechanics of the movement. Neuromusculoskeletal biomechanics. First, we'll go to the nervous system, then muscular system, and then last, skeletal system. The nervous system. Functions of the nervous system: sensory input, gathering information to monitor changes occurring inside and outside the body. Integration, the process and interpret sensory input and decide if action is needed or not. Motor output, a response to stimuli activates muscles or glands. Classification of the nervous system: central nervous system composed of two main areas, brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system is cranial and peripheral nerves. Peripheral nervous system has two divisions, like one sensory division are called also afferent, carry information to the central nervous system. Motor divisions, efferent, carry impulses away from the central nervous system. Somatic will be the voluntary system. Autonomic will be involuntary system. Now, autonomic is divided into two parts again: parasympathetic nerves, that's also called rest and digest system. Sympathetic nerves, also known as fight or flight. So they work as antagonists. For example, like activation of the parasympathetic nerves leads to constriction of pupil, and activation of sympathetic nerves will be dilate the pupils. Again, same like stimulation of saliva, the other system will be going to do inhibit salivation. Parasympathetic nerves activation will take to the slow heartbeat. Sympathetic nerves will increase the heartbeat, so on. So they work as antagonists. Parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic nerves. Cells of the nervous system. Cells are grouped into two categories. Neurons do all the major functions on their own, or afferent, interneurons, and efferent. Nuclei play a supporting role to the neurons. divided into the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, neuroglia. Central nervous neuroglia are astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia, ependymal cells. Peripheral nervous system like neurolamocytes and satellite cells. The anatomy and structure of a neuron, general neuron, and its function. The center will be the nucleus. This is the whole cell body of the neuron. These are the dendrites who receive the information. This is axon and axon terminus from where that action will be transmitted. The structure or anatomy of the nerve, this is spinal nerve. This is the outer layer is called epineurium. Second is the perineurium. This is unmyelinated nerve fiber, and this is myelinated nerve fiber. The cross-section will take, again, this is the vessels, blood vessels. And again, this is endoneurium, nerve fibers, and this is bundles of nerve fibers is fascicle. The muscular system. Muscles provide the forces needed to provide movement possible. They transmit their forces to tendons, whose forces in turn cause rotation of bones above the joints. Muscles, however, are not simple force generators. The force developed by the muscle depends not only on the level of neural excitation provided by the central nervous system, but also on the length and speed at which the muscle is contracting. Muscles can shorten and pull, but not push. Most muscles are arranged in opposing teams, for example, agonistic and antagonistic. As each team pulls, the other team relaxes and gets stretched. There are more than 640 muscles. Nevertheless, exact number is difficult to define. The muscle make up of about 40% of the body mass. The longest muscle in the body is sartorius. The smallest muscle in the body is stapedius. It is located deep in the ear. It is only 5 mm long and thinner than cotton thread. It is involved in hearing. The biggest muscle in the body is gluteus maximus. It is located in the buttock. It pulls the leg backwards powerfully for walking and running. This is anterior and posterior view of the human body, like anterior muscles and the posterior muscles. Like, for example, this is like orbicularis oculi around the eye, temporalis, masseter, sternocleidomastoids. So same like on the back. So this is like muscles of the human body. Gross structure muscles are molecular machines that convert chemical energy into force. Individual muscles fibers are connected together by 3 levels of collagenous tissues: endomysium, which surrounds individual muscle fibers; perimysium, which collects bundles of fibers into fascicles; and epimysium, which encloses the entire muscle belly. Anatomy and structure. This is skeletal muscles. First is epimysium, and this is muscle belly. Once we'll take the muscle fascicle, again cross-section, then it was perimysium, this is endomysium, and muscle fiber. Once we'll take again cross-section of muscle fiber, this is muscle fiber, this is endomysium, and sarcolemma. Functions of the muscles. First is movement, maintenance of posture and muscle tone, heat production, protects the bones and internal organs. Classification of muscles functionally and structurally. Functionally, voluntarily can be moved at will. Involuntarily cannot be moved intentionally. Structurally striated, have stripes across the fiber, and smooth muscles, no striations. There are 3 types of muscles: skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles are related to the bones. Cardiac muscles found only in the heart. Smooth muscles in the digestive system and genitourinary system. Skeletal muscles, fibers are long and cylindrical, has many nuclei, striations, and voluntary, attached to the skeleton by tendons and cause movements of the bones at the joints. They do fatigue. Movements, muscle move bones by pulling, not pushing. Synergies, any movement is generally accomplished by more than one muscle. Agonist, most responsible for the movement. Antagonist, muscles and muscle groups usually work in pairs. Biceps flex arm and its partner triceps extend arm. Two muscles are antagonist. Levators, muscle that raise a body part, for example, levator scapulae. Maintenance of posture and muscle tone, we are able to maintain our body posture position because of toning, contraction in our skeletal muscles. Heat production, contraction of muscles produce most of the heat required to maintain body temperature. Structure organization of skeletal muscles. These are the myofibrils, cisternae of the sarcoplasmic reticulum, right? This is nucleus. Again, this is mitochondria, myofibrilament. Sarcoplasmic reticulum, all right? This is, again, we're showing that myofibrils, the structural organization of skeletal muscles. The cardiac muscles are heart muscles. Cells are branched and appear fused with one another, has striation. Each cell has a central nucleus and involuntary. Found only in the heart, healthy cardiac muscles never fatigue. If they fatigue, it means ischemia, like either heart attack. Smooth muscles, fibers are thin and spindle-shaped, no striation, single nuclei, involuntary and contract slowly. They fatigue but slowly. Found in circulatory, digestive, respiratory, and urinary system. The skeletal system. Total bones in the human body are 206, like usually at birth they are 270 around, but after the adult age they fuse together, so there'll be only 206. Bones of the skeletons are organ that contain several different tissues, but also contain nervous tissue and nerves, blood tissues and vessels, cartilage in articular area, and epithelial tissues lining the blood vessels. Functions of the bones. Bones perform several important functions. For example, support, protection, movement, mineral storage, blood cell formation. Classification of bones. Long bones in the body called as humerus and femur. Irregular bones, vertebra. Flat bones, sternum bone, and short bones, talus. And this fifth classification also this sesamite bone. The patella is also called a sesamite bone. Types of bones, compact bone. There are two types of bones, like compact and spongy or cancellous bones. Compact bone appears very dense. It actually contains canals and passageways that provide access for nerves, blood vessels, and lymphatic ducts. The structure unit of the compact bone is the osteon or Haversian system. Each osteon is an elongated cylinder running parallel to the long axis of the bone. Structurally, each osteon represents a weight-bearing pillar. The osteon, this will be osteocyte, osteoblast, osteoclast. Central canal contains blood vessels, lymphatic, and the nerve. Spongy or cancellous bones, internal layer, lattice work of the bone tissue, haphazard arrangement made of trabeculae, filled with red and yellow bone marrow. Osteocytes get nutrients directly from the circulating blood. Short, flat, and irregular bone is made up of mostly spongy bones. Structure, again, anatomy. This is spongy bone or cancellous bones, contains bone marrow. This is yellow marrow. This is compact bone. And inside bone marrow, the blood vessels are there. So blood cell formation also there, RBCs, platelets, and white blood cells. Another structure like divided into epiphyses, like head and neck area, and diaphysis, middle of the bone. Compact bone, periosteum, bone marrow cavity, and then again epiphyseal plate, giant, where usually that bone giants like cancellous bone, and then articular cartilage. The structural anatomy of the knee joint. Largest and one of the most complex joint. The knee is a mechanism of 3 joints and 4 bones, the femur, tibia, patella, and fibula. Major stability and mobility roles. Functions, shortening and lengthening of the extremity by flexion and extension. Supports body during dynamic and static activities. Closed kinematic chain, support body weight in static erect posture. Dynamically moving and supporting body in sitting and squatting activities. Supporting and weight transferring activity during locomotion. Knee complex is tibiofemoral and patellofemoral. Type of joint is double condyle joint. Patella serves as pulley mechanism for quadriceps muscles. Degree of freedom of motions, flexion and extension, medial and lateral rotation, adduction and abduction. For knee joint, articular surface will be proximal, articular surface will be femoral condyles, medial condyle is larger than the lateral. Distal articular surface, tibial condyles, medial and lateral. Structure of the knee joint, this will be the femur, tibia and fibula on the lateral side. Again, this will be quadriceps muscles, combination of 4 muscles, fat, bursa, and patella. And this is articular cartilage. Again, bursa is there, patellar tendon is there, right? Synovial fluid, synovial membrane, and this is the meniscus. Alignment of knee, the anatomical axis of the femur is oblique, directed inferiorly and medially. Anatomical axis of the tibia is vertical. Normal knee forms lateral angle of 170 to 175. Variation will be genu valgum, also known as knock knee, lateral angle less than 170. Genu varum, bow leg, angle is more than 180. Giant menisci, fibrocartilaginous disc. Menisci functions are improved congruence of the joint, distribute weight-bearing forces, decreases friction between tibia and femur, shock absorber. Capsule and ligaments of the knee joint. Capsules encloses medial and lateral tibiofemoral joint and patellofemoral joint. 2 layers of capsules here, fibrous layer and synovial layer. Synovial also secretes a synovial fluid. The ligaments, there are 2 types of ligaments, collateral ligaments and cruciate ligaments. Collateral ligaments will be medial and lateral. They also prevent sliding of the femur bones side to side. Anterior cruciate ligament and posterior cruciate ligament, right, 2 types of there. So they also prevent sliding of the femur backward and forward. So this is anterior cruciate ligament, posterior cruciate ligament, medial collateral ligament, and lateral collateral ligament, lateral meniscus, and this is medial meniscus. This is patella, like also known as sesamite bone. Tibiofemoral articulation function, transmission of body weight from femur to tibia. Tibiofemoral joint reaction force, 3 into body weight with walking, 4 into body weight with climbing. Patellofemoral articulation function transmits tensile forces generated by the quadriceps to the patellar tendon. Biomechanics, patellofemoral joint reaction force, 7 into body weight with squatting, 2 to 3 body weight when descending stairs. Main muscles of and bursae of the knee joint. Quadriceps is combination of 4 muscles: rectus femoris, vastus intermedius, vastus lateralis, and vastus medialis. Gastrocnemius, hamstring, also combination of 3 muscles: biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranous. Gracilis, sartorius, and popliteus, and soleus. So they are nerves supplied by the femoral nerve, tibial nerve, common peroneal, and obturator nerve. There are 14 bursae at the knee joint. They reduce friction between intertissue during movement. Compression forces at the knee while walking 2 to 3 times body weight, ascending, climbing stairs 4 times body weight. Menisci triples the surface area by significantly reducing the pressure at the knee by 230%. Patellectomy decreases extension force by 30%. This is just common only for general formation. The proper sitting, lower back support, elbows at 90 angle, lie feet flat, flat on the floor, thighs again parallel to the floor. Again, top of the monitor or slightly below the eye level. If long standing is there, there's need a footrest. Lifting, again, bend your knees and squat down to a comfortable level. Lift the object and bring it close to the body. Return to an upright position by pushing up with your legs and buttocks. So usually we don't follow. We need to follow. Our sitting also is not correct. We know everything, but practically we are unable to apply. Even myself, if you will see me after 10 minutes, I'll be sitting in different posture. And different postures bring more forces like our spines and the joints. So we used to say doctors are the worst. They know everything, but they will follow the same thing what they do. Research of the neuromuscular performance offers a unique possibility for integration of biomechanics, muscle physiology, and neurophysiology. This integration is especially desirable in situations where recording of the neuromuscular function is made under normal movement conditions of the entire physiological range. This would improve the possibilities to investigate more exactly the interrelation between the structural aspects of the neuromuscular system and performance characteristics. Areas of study, like for the biomechanics, sport and exercise science, coaching, ergonomics, equipment design, gait and locomotion, orthopedics, rehabilitation, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics and orthotics, motor control, and computer simulation. These are references from where I took my the slides. And I would like to end my presentation with, again, the quote by Dr. Ibrahim Al-Fiqi. He writes, "You are far more powerful than you have ever imagined. So dream big dreams, live with purpose, live with faith, and live with power." Thank you very much for kindly listening. So I'm expecting some questions like related to my field. Your Dr. Farah is going to take question. No problem, please. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we have time for a quick question.
Yeah, you can. Right. It's like engineers versus doctor, no problem. Like we can call.
What, no one's going to ask him about Bernoulli's theory or Euler equation? Just, you know. Please.
So you talked about muscles, bone, and cartilage. I know that bone and cartilage can regenerate. What about muscles? Is there something to do in this direction?
Yeah, it's a very good question. The muscle for regeneration, I don't have data to say something, but cartilage, they're vascular, right? They do actually. Bone also, they do heal. Muscles, like if there's some cut injuries, we do suture actually. Like, so it's cut is there, like wool suture actually. And they do actually. Mechanism, actually, I have no idea. I can get back to you. But once there's cut, like tendons are cut actually, so orthopedic surgeon, we do in the emergency department. And there's proper, if there's no infection, right, it's very proper healing is there. And there's no disability or like walking or like if they have movements, there won't be. So they do generate.
If we're talking about skeletal muscle, that is not cardiac.
Right.
Correct, actually, yeah.
Skeletal muscles can generate up to a particular degree of damage. So it's very similar to wound injury. If the distance is too far, we won't be able to regenerate. We have a volumetric muscle loss, which is the problem with regenerative medicine. Then you need to put in some biomaterials, inductive biomaterials to get the regeneration done. Otherwise, they will not be healing by themselves. But if the damage is small enough to contain, usually they will be able to grow.
Yeah, correct, I do agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Yeah.
The damage is big.